Hello and welcome to King 5 Plus. I'm Paul Silvi alongside Chris Egan, and we've got a lot to get to as we preview the Seahawks playoff matchup against the 49ers. The big game will take place Saturday at Lumen Field. No one knows what time. The NFL's just kind of holding us hostage on that thing, so we all have to wait until sometime later tonight to exactly find when they're going to kick this thing off. But coming up on this preview show, we will hear from head coach Mike Macdonald, Julian Love, Leonard Williams, Hall of Famer Walter Jones as well, and the voice of the Seahawks, Steve Raymond.
At least we don't have to wait, Paul, for the opponent anymore, because all weekend long, I mean, there was so much speculation. Oh, it's going to be the Packers. We're taking on the Packers. Oh, it's going to be the Rams. And sure enough, it's the 49ers. And we're going to break that down, and we're going to dive into Saturday's big matchup. But we want to first send out a big congratulations to several Seahawk players out there who had a great weekend. Receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba was named first-team All-Pro, first time of his career. JSN earned it by leading the league with nearly 1,800 yards receiving, which is a franchise record and 8th best in league history. Seattle also had 4 players on second team. Punter Michael Dixon represents the Hawks on special teams. Linebacker Ernest Jones, defensive tackle Leonard Williams, and cornerback Devin Witherspoon all on the list. Congrats to all of them. Now let's get you set for that 49ers and Seahawks game. In game one, Paul, 49ers, they beat the Seahawks in Seattle 17-13. George Kittle left that game with an injury, and it was backup tight end Jake Tongus, if you remember, who caught the game-winning touchdown on the 49ers' final drive. Brock Purdy leading the charge. Sam Darnold had no touchdown throws on that day. The run game only had 84 total yards. Let's also remember this is week 1, and this is a much different Seahawks team. In game 2, week 18, the Seahawks defense maybe had their best game of the season. Hawks beat the 49ers 13-3 in Santa Clara. Seahawks didn't allow a first down in the opening quarter. They also sacked Brock Purdy 3 times. Christian McCaffrey only 23 rushing yards. Sam Darnold, the offense missed some chances to score, but they did enough to get the win. Hawks also ran the ball, Paul, very well in that game. 180 rushing yards. Ken Walker, 97 rushing yards. Zach Charbonnet, who you see there, 74 rushing yards and a touchdown. Paul, you were at both of those games in Seattle, in Santa Clara. Let's start with game 1. What do you remember from that one? I think a lot of people are just flushing that game, but it still happened this season.
Yeah, I remember the Seahawks offense coming out sluggish, and, Sam Darnold didn't have his best day, 150 yards passing. But I remember Brock Purdy being very mobile, as he always seems to kill us with his feet, Chris. I mean, he's got this deceptive mobility that he's able to keep plays alive. He did it on the final drive of that game that won them the game at Lumen Field when he hit Jake in the end zone. So, I remember that. I remember the Seahawks offense being sluggish, and the defense been okay in that game. But game 2 was a big difference when you're talking about the game down at Levi Stadium. The Seahawks defense, as you alluded to, just an absolute dominant performance in that game. Big difference. Brock Purdy had just 127 yards passing. Christian McCaffrey is 23 yards or so on the ground, and they really bottled him up. So, it was really just a story of the Seahawks offense coming out sluggish in game 1, back in the season opener, not really kind of feeling a groove yet under Clint Kubiak as the new offensive coordinator. And then in week 18, a much better, much well-rounded Seahawks team came in there. And really, Chris, it felt like 13 points. They left some, and I know this, after talking to the Seahawks down there, they felt like they left a lot of plays out there. They certainly left some points out there. They should have had, in my opinion, 28, 30 points in that game. So they missed on some chances, and that's something they cannot afford to do Saturday.
And somebody that missed, who hasn't missed a lot this season, Jason Myers. I mentioned Michael Dixon named All-Pro, but Jason Myers has had a Pro Bowl season as well. He missed down there in Santa Clara. You were down there. A little windy at times in Santa Clara.
Yeah,
he's much better at home.
Yeah, and you know what? The wind was swirling down there, and that makes a big deal. We saw it a lot over the weekend. In fact, those opening wild card games in the NFL, the kickers, you just roll the dice with those guys, because normally it's been a solid year for place kicking. This weekend, for some reason, was wacky. Like, these great kickers all season long couldn't find it and couldn't get in the groove. And some of it had to do with weather, but other things, it's just one of those days for those guys. So there's been some great kicking throughout the NFL this season.
Well, we know one thing. The Seahawks team is rested up. Mike Macdonald gave the guys a 3-day weekend. The other teams were traveling on the road. I mean, San Francisco, they're heading to Philly. They got to get back home, back to the practice field today. The Seahawks did have some practices last week. Mike Macdonald says the Hawks were working on all the possible opponents, but the practices weren't for game planning yet.
A combination of some things we need to see, some ways we've been attacked, and then really just try to go out and play really great, clean Seahawk football, just executing and running our stuff and trying to stay sharp.
All right, and when you talk about Coach McDonald, it starts with defense, and when you talk about the 49ers, it starts and ends with Christian McCaffrey. Paul, Christian McCaffrey has been sensational in his career. The Hawks have done a great job containing McCaffrey. You mentioned in Week 18 they stopped him, but he is still very dangerous. This season, McCaffrey over 1,200 rushing yards, 10 rushing TDs. He has 102 receptions for 924 yards and 7 receiving touchdowns. Seattle's defense, though, has done a great job, like I said, against McCaffrey in both games. Seahawks defense has established an impressive streak of not allowing a 100-yard rusher in 26 straight games, breaking their own franchise record from the Legion of Boom era. So why is this defense so good? Leonard Williams says, well, they've done a great job during the offseason bringing in veteran talent. And Julian Love says this is also the most close-knit defensive team he's ever played on.
I mean, I would hope you could see it on the field for real. I mean, we've talked about it a ton, but we're just a close group. I think when you look at, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that's just my point of view. You just see it's like nameless people out there, just all playing kind of for the common good. It's easy to try to implement. It's easy to try to talk about it, but to really live that way is pretty cool. And it takes a lot of just selfless leaders, and thankfully we have a lot in our room.
And I think early in the beginning of the season last year, we weren't doing a great job stopping the run. The guys upstairs made some great moves and calls and brought in Ernest Jones and DeMarcus Lawrence, a few other players. You see an immediate impact from those guys. And, I think we've just been sound at stopping the run, and it's pretty much opened up the rest of our defense when we can stop the run.
And, Paul, they have been stopping the run to Marcus Lawrence, Ernest Jones, Jaron Reed, Nicky Minwari, what he did kind of shadowing Christian McCaffrey. I mean, you've watched this team from training camp to preseason. You've been at every single game. What's impressed you most about this defense?
Hey, Chris, it all starts with that D-line and Leonard Williams. I mean, Byron Murphy's having that breakout season that the Seahawks want him to have. He is a strong human being, and everybody on that defensive line respects him. It's really hard to move that guy. He takes on double teams. He allows the guys next to him to make plays. So really, it all starts with the D-line. It's interesting. You start to sit there and you mention Eamon Warry, Leonard Williams, Ernest Jones. But I mean, think about the secondary. Devin Witherspoon and Reek Woolen turned it around since early in the season. There are so many individual stars on that defensive side of the ball, but they are the #1 scoring defense in the NFL, holding teams to just 17.1 points per game.
Jeez.
And a lot of that had to do with holding the Niners to just 3 points in that last regular season game. So that's what clinched that title for them. But this defense is loaded with stars, but the fact that they play to the echo of the whistle, and that's something Mike McDonald always talks about. You may hear the whistle, but play through the echo of the whistle. That means pushing it and chasing edges, which is what Mike McDonald coaches all the time. And he says, yeah, it's Mike about it. He's like, yeah, I say echo of the whistle. It's a little bit risky because you're hitting right at the end there. But he says that's what he wants his players to do. It's legit, and it sends a message.
Well, you mentioned maybe dangerous, but, Paul, how disciplined is this team? Because there haven't been too many games where they've been bad in penalties. I mean, they've had a few, but they haven't been bad like in years past before.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because in years past, I remember Pete Carroll was never bothered by the penalties. He says, yeah, we got to take care of that, but we're not going to worry about that. But, with this group, they're so disciplined in what they do, and they play together. You hear about these team stats. Sacks is a team stat. And for a while there, the Seahawks were in the top 5 in sacks in the NFL, kind of slipped off a little bit. But again, sacks are a team stat. It means everybody in the backfield, the secondary, has to have their guys covered long enough for the D linemen and the linebackers to get in there and make the sack. So they all play for each other. There's a brotherhood out there, and the way they swarm to the football, you can see it. You saw it in the last game of the regular season. There are 5 or 6 guys in at the end of every tackle, and it's been fun to watch.
Definitely a brotherhood, and I think, Paul, another thing we didn't even mention there is we heard from Julian Love, one of the stars, one of the veterans. It's been key having him back, but when guys go out, next man up. I mean, we saw what happened when he went out. Ty Okada, the Montana State walk-on, just rolls on in there and does his job, and they've been doing that all season long. It's going to be fun to watch them against the 49ers on Saturday. Now, On Sunday night, on the fifth quarter of this match, Paul Silvi sat down with NFL Hall of Famer Walter Jones and got his thoughts on the Seahawks matchup against the Niners.
I think the thing about it is that this team is not afraid to come in here and play it. They came in here and won before, so they know they're going to feel comfortable enough to come here. But this defense, the way they're playing, and the way that the offense kind of ends the season, you know you got to feel pretty good with these guys, especially they're getting a rest, and now they be ready to play. They got a chance to see everything this weekend, and hopefully they be ready to play. And these guys going to come in very confident that they can come here and get a win. But still, again, we got the 12s, and they definitely going to make a difference.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun at Lumen Field. The 49ers defense has been depleted by injuries, but defensive coordinator Robert Saleh has them playing well right now. Is that another example of guys just kind of taking advantage of their opportunities, kind of a next man up mentality?
Exactly, and being a student of the game, understanding what you have to do. As a coach, that's what you want to see. A guy go down, you put the next guy in. That shows you that they're not just worrying about the guys that's starting. You're worrying about those guys that's behind it, that those guys are ready to play. And you saw that every guy go down, then another guy step up. So that's a sign of great teams, that whoever's out, whoever get in, you got to go out there and play at the same high level.
All right, there he is, Big Walt, the Hall of Famer. You can watch him every week on the fifth quarter with Paul Silvi and Steve Rabel. Speaking of Big Walt, Pro Bowler, offensive line, Charles Cross, good news there for the Seahawks. He will be coming back. The offensive line has been doing a great job lately. This run game's been looking good. Big Walt's thoughts? You've been chatting with him a lot on the O-line?
Well, I mean, he's been impressed with them all season long, and I think the fact that, as he alluded to, with the next man up mentality on both sides and both teams going into the weekend, that Josh Jones is one of those guys who stepped in for Charles Cross and really delivered in the last couple of weeks. And that's the kind of mentality and depth that Mike McDonald's been talking about on both sides of the football. Yeah. He wants these guys to take advantage of their opportunities. You mentioned Ty Okada. Drake Thomas is another great guy. EJ goes down for a little bit. Oh, and Drake comes in. He has to wear the green dot, so he has the communication with the coaches. That's a big responsibility as a quarterback of the defense. So Walt likes the way this offensive line has come together. They're healthy right now. I know you and I both love the fact that Abe Lucas has made it through this season. Knock on plexiglass that this guy, he's been outstanding.
The local kid from Archbishop Murphy High School, I mean, has battled injuries, but to see him, I mean, we talk about veterans on the team. He is one of the quiet veteran leaders on this team, and what he has done, Paul, I mean, keep knocking on wood, everybody, if you're watching right now on King 5 Plus, because he's been huge this year.
Yeah, and Olu Oluwatimi at center stepped in for Jalen Sundell when he went down, the starting center went down. So a couple of games there, a few games, almost a whole month, I believe, where Oluwatimi took over that center job, which is a huge job. You're the captain of that offensive line, the quarterback of the O-line, calling out coverages and making, letting everybody know what you see. So, again, it's this depth that has really come up key for this year.
And so many people quickly, Paul, they point to the turnovers as a big concern. Sam Darnold, 14 interceptions, 20 total turnovers. But those aren't just Sam Darnold's turnovers. You talk to the offensive linemen, you talk to the tight ends, the running backs. Those count for them as well. I mean, they take that very personally when you say, it's not just Sam Darnold's turnover. We let a D lineman get in there that caused the turnover. He stepped on somebody's foot that caused the turnover. So everybody I know loves to point just to Sam Darnold. He has to be perfect. It's a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah, the critics, especially in the national media, they will circle the 20 turnovers that Sam's responsible for this season. NFL league leading 20 turnovers, 14 picks, 6 fumbles, and it's easy to just put the blame on him. Yeah. But as you said, this is a total team effort, brotherhood over there at the VMAC, and everybody's taking accountability. So, again, that's important, though, man. Going to the playoffs, you cannot afford to cough up a football, especially to a team that's injury-riddled like the 49ers, and allow them to play on a short field.
Put them out of their misery early. Yeah.
Okay. We've heard from Big Walt, Coach McDonald, Leonard Williams, and Julian Love. When we return, the voice of the Seahawks, Steve Rabel, gives us his thoughts on Saturday's game, and we'll hear from receiver Cooper Kupp. Stay with us. Welcome back to King 5 Plus and our Seahawks preview shows. We get you set for the Seahawks and 49ers at Lumen Field Saturday. We've talked a lot about the Seahawks defense. The offense has also played a key role in a solid run down the stretch there. The run game has been very effective.
Yeah, Paul, I think a big difference when you look at these games between Week 1 and Week 18, Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak, he's had a little time to develop that offense. I think so much pressure was put on this Seahawks team in Week 1. What are we going to see? Yeah. It takes a little time to develop with your players. Kubiak right now is one of the most wanted coaches. 4 to 5 teams want Kubiak to be their next head coach, but right now He is the Seahawks offensive coordinator. Will he stay that way after the season? We'll have to wait and see, but he has done a great job with his Hawks offense. Hawks third in scoring, averaging 28.4 points per game. Here's veteran wide receiver Cooper Kupp on Clint Kubiak.
Yeah, I mean, guys love him. You want to play for guys like Clint. Humility is one thing I think is one of his special traits. He leans on guys, but obviously he's a very smart ball coach. Understands a lot about this game, but his humility to be able to talk to guys and maybe see like, hey, there's something that I'm asking someone to do. Maybe they can't do it for some reason. Maybe there's a better way to do it. And his openness to be able to talk to players and to the coaches that he has around him and to delegate and be able to grab everyone's best traits and bring them all to the forefront. I think he does a great job of that. So, I think he'll be great. Hopefully he's here. But I guess you want everyone to be able to ascend and go do whatever they want to do. So, but he'll be great wherever he is.
There he is, veteran wide receiver Cooper Kupp talking about offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. He's a very wanted man right now, but he used the bye week to kind of take care of that business. Now the focus is on the 49ers. But, Paul, what we've seen with this Hawks offense, I mean, this is an offensive coordinator. Yes, he's worked with Sam Darnold in the past, but their first time together, getting the run game going with, the Ken Walker, Zach Charbonnet, those two have been absolutely impressive this year. And what we see, I think fantasy football owners out there are going to say, oh, Cooper Kupp, does he still have it? Well, yes, he does, Paul, in a certain way. He's a different type of receiver than he was with the Rams because what is he doing? He's helping block. He's making key passes, and he's also setting up a young man by the name of JSN, who just had one of the best wide receiver seasons ever in the NFL.
Yeah, I think it's listening to Kupp talk. First of all, it's great to listen to him because, he's such a student of the game, and when he's at the podium, he wants you to understand what he's talking about, and he's very thorough about his explanations and description of what's going on the field. But as you talked about, it's the intangibles with Kupp these days. He's a big body. He loves to block, and he says that he loves that part of the game, and you believe him. So that's been a key for this Seahawks offense moving forward, especially the run game. Everything else goes off that run. They've gotten the run game going over the last several weeks of the season, so they're peaking at the right time there. But, Clint Kubiak, one of the first guys and teams that went after him were the Falcons because he was the offensive coordinator for the Saints last year in that NFC South, and, he went in there and basically the Falcons got to see him twice during that season. They've seen what he's done up here, so the Falcons, man, he was tops on their list when they had an opening. So, but now he's on 5 other lists. So
well, interesting with Kubiak too. Was just thinking there as Cooper Kupp was talking. I was thinking back to training camp, a long time ago when the weather was nice and blue skies. And I remember listening to Kubiak the first time, and I think one of the questions was how much you're going to use tight ends. And his thing, we're going to use the tight ends a lot. And early on, it didn't seem like it was there. And down the stretch, A.J. Barner, I mean, this has been one of just the key weapons for the Seahawks when they get in the red zone.
Yeah, and the fact is that tight end room is led by A.J. Barner, but they've got these guys in there that are studs. Eric Saubert is a veteran. He came in and brought that kind of leadership. Elijah Arroyo is back from injury. He's got a bright future ahead of him if he can stay healthy. The rookie tight end. That's 3 solid tight ends that are contributing. And, of course, Barner is the leader of that group. He's become a fan favorite. And, yes, they're not only catching passes, Chris, they are running guys over because they love to block for the run game, too.
Barner's got the energy. Sauber got that 2-point conversion, the historic win against the Rams. All right, on the 49ers side, we've talked about Christian McCaffrey, but the 49ers, they're going to be missing one of their big stars on Saturday, tight end George Kittle. Yep, Kittle injured his Achilles in the Eagles game. He is done for the postseason. This season, he played in 11 games, had 57 catches, 7 touchdowns. He's also one of the big veteran leaders on this team, but now he is out. This is a huge loss for San Francisco. For more on the 49ers, Paul chatted with the voice of the Seahawks, Steve Rabel.
And I'll give you 2 names, Purdy and McCaffrey. Those 2 guys can make almost anything happen on the field. McCaffrey is the best all-around running back in all of football, mostly because he's as good a receiver as he is a running back. And Purdy just seems to find a way, mostly because, you mentioned it, Kyle Shanahan puts him in positions to make big plays, to be able to throw the ball downfield. His play design gets defenses kind of caught on their back foot and allows receivers to run into through zones. They've got some good receivers, not great receivers, but good receivers. Missing Kittle will be a huge problem for them because he's so good, not only at the line of scrimmage blocking, but certainly as a receiver. And their defense is definitely suspect up front and up the middle, and we took advantage of that last time. So the Niners, you always are going to have to look at them as one of the best teams in the NFC. Same thing as the Rams. Beat them once, they lost to us once. So the third time is going to be the charm for somebody, and I certainly believe it's us.
Man, there is a laundry list of things to get to when it comes to the 49ers because they deserve a lot of credit on their defense coordinator, Robert Saleh, for, remember, Fred Warner was starting in that first game against the Seahawks, and so was Nick Bosa, and they're out. They were on their 5th, 6th, and 7th linebackers starting for them this season. So they are shredded back there, but this is a next man up mentality. The 49ers and Saleh deserve a lot of credit for what they did on the road against the Eagles in the opener. So, I mean, their defense, somehow, some way they're getting it done because they're well coached and they got guys with a lot of want to on that side of the ball.
Well, and jumping in on that, Paul, how much negativity were they getting after that Chicago Bears game, a Sunday night game that was on NBC? The Bears go into Levi Stadium, and it was a scoring fest, and everybody's like, this San Francisco defense is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And then since that game, Seahawks only get 13, and then we saw what they did against Philly. I mean, very impressive, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, when you coming off that Bears game, and as a Seahawks fan, you go, oh, man, the Bears are going up and down the field on those guys. We're going to have plenty of scoring in this game, but it wasn't the case. So, I mean, we talked about the defense on that side of the ball. It all starts with coaching. They have solidified things, it seems like. But offensively, yes, they're missing Kittle. They got Jake Tonjes out there, and they also have Kyle Juszczyk. He's a fullback who got a lot of action in the second half of that Eagles game. He was catching passes. He was a weapon out there. I think you're going to see a lot more of the big fella being used and in Kyle Shanahan's offense.
All right. Steve mentioned there quickly the Rams at the end of that, saying this is kind of like the 49ers, went 1-1 with them. They went to Carolina. Kobe Parkinson, a former Seahawks tight end, made a great catch with under a minute to go. The Rams escaped Carolina. They will now head to Chicago to take on a Bears team that they look like they were done. They came back in the second half against the Packers to find a way. And so now you've got the Bears and Rams. This is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, you watching that game, I had the luxury, Chris, it's very rare, as you know, in our business, to be able to sit on your own couch and put your feet up and watch some football. And I was a total fan on Saturday. I had 2 great games to watch. I had the Rams-Panthers, and then it rolls right into that Packers-Bears. So I know football fans out there like ourselves were having a blast watching Saturday's action. But we all thought, I mean, Packers up by 18 points in the first half, 21-3. It's like, it's just a blowout. Yeah. I don't know how the Bears.
And then an interception in the third quarter. You think this thing is done, but they find a way, and the Packers season is over. Pretty impressive, though, Paul, when you think about it. Think of the NFC right now. 3 of the 4 teams from the NFC West: Seahawks, Rams, San Francisco. You don't hear that a whole lot. The voice of the Seahawks, Steve Rabel, not surprised, though.
These 3 teams have generally been good for the last decade or better. They've generally drafted low in the first round, if in fact they have a first-round draft choice at all. And so what these executives, the key executives, the general managers, the head coaches have done in this division, with one exception being the Cardinals, but they have drafted well. They have drafted personnel that their coaches know can make them winners, can make them champions. That's not always the biggest, the fastest, the strongest. Sometimes that's the guy who has the most desire. It's the guy who's the smartest. It's the guy who comes in with a great football IQ and a want to and a desire to win. That's what shows up in these 3 teams out of the NFC West that are playing for the chance to go to the Super Bowl, and the Seahawks are at the top of that list.
Once again, San Francisco at Seattle, Saturday, either 1:30 or 5 o'clock. Lumen Field's going to be rocking. The defenses, our Seahawks defense is better. They're going to continue to do what they've been doing. I expect Sam Darnold, the offense, to be better than what we saw in Santa Clara. I expect Jason Myers to hit his PATs, his field goals. So I've got Seattle winning this one, Paul. I think they get out of there with a 14-point victory. Vegas is giving them 7, Paul.
Sometimes it's the healthiest team that wins, Chris, and then we're going to see that, I think, on Saturday. Thanks for joining us on King 5 Plus for our Seahawks playoff preview. Be sure to watch King 5 all week long as we continue to preview this big playoff game.